Live from Kakariko Village. Broadcast throughout the Retroverse, transmitted to the real world via a maze of wires connecting a Super Nintendo to a Wii, to a Wi-Fi network, and finally to the internet. The Techno Funk Boy presents the Retro Zoo Super Show. Now here are your hosts, Kai and Steven.
Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Retro Zoo Super Show. I am one of your hosts, Kai, and we are joined by our regular other host,
Steven.
That's all you had? I was expecting like more grandiose.
Steven. Is that better?
That's not exactly what I was thinking.
Wasn't what you're imagining. I'm sorry. I'm going to work on it. I know I need a theme song, but
a theme song?
Just haven't come up with it yet.
We have a theme song.
I know, but I need a theme song. I mean, I know we have a theme song, but when you introduce me, the music needs to change. You know, it's kind of like a wrestling match, like a wrestler, like WWE or WWF.
Are we going to start it off with like some smack talk at the beginning?
I'm going to talk to you, Kai. You aren't even going to understand all the awesome things I say. I don't know what podcast how they talk smack to each other. How that works.
Listen here, brother. Today we're gonna talk about some retro games, and I'm gonna pile drive it home. I'm gonna take it. I'm just really going to just smack it down today. That's what's gonna happen. That's what's going on tonight. Tonight is the night, and this game is going down. I don't know. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
I don't know. I'm kind of liking it, it's just like it makes me laugh, and I don't think I'm supposed to be upset if I was an actual wrestler, podcast wrestler.
Supposed to be upset.
Have to be like indignant.
Indignant.
What? Can't even say that about me.
Well, okay. All right. Let's get the smack talk on. All right. Gotta prepare. Now you listen to me. I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to say it to everybody. I don't care about StarCraft. I don't want to hear about StarCraft. I'm never going to play StarCraft.
You know what? StarCraft doesn't need you. It doesn't even want you around. In fact, the reason you don't play StarCraft is because you're not good enough. All you have time for is these cheesy, old-school, outdated speedrunning games, which is like someone trying to make a game out of something that wasn't even a game. At least StarCraft is a game. Boom! I'm gonna take this chair, and I'm gonna smack you up the head, side the head with it, and I'm gonna throw you in the ring, outside of the ring, and that's all I got. Because I never actually was allowed to watch wrestling as a kid, so I don't know how to smack talk.
Oh, that's kind of great. This works, yes. All right. So next week you'll mock JRPGs, and I will counter. So.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. Well, as I said, you are listening to the Retro Zoo Super Show. We are produced, as always, by Drum. Drum, how are you doing today?
I am functioning normally.
That is really, really good to hear. So, Steven, we need to talk.
Uh-oh, what did I do now?
So, a couple weeks ago, I had an encounter with MURD, who said that you cranked up his murder dial.
He said that?
Yes. Why would you do this?
Well, first of all, I thought I actually programmed him to not divulge that I did anything to him, so he'll be in big trouble when I see him again.
That's not helpful. Why? Why?
Well, I mean, he's disobeyed my programming. I programmed him not to say anything about that.
Once again.
I'm very upset with him.
Once again. You sent him to kill me?
I did not send him to kill you, per se. Look, we've talked about MURD extensively, and I know that...
Well, because he keeps trying to kill people.
He was designed to kill people. Okay.
Why would you design him to kill people?
Because it's supposed to help Drum.
But Drum wasn't here. I was by myself.
Well, MURD, that's part of the, that just can't be predicted always. And maybe you should not have gone anywhere without Drum with you. Because Drum, it's supposed to encourage Drum to choose between sides. Okay? If he sees somebody so extremely evil and bent on the evisceration, nay, the total obliteration of the podcast via its hosts, then somebody will have to stop him. And somebody, Drum, would see that evil welling up, and he'll have to make a decision. Will he side with MURD?
Well, okay. First of all, I don't approve of this plan. Secondly, Drum, you know what? Why weren't you here?
I was mesmerized watching squirrels.
Squirrels?
They were cute and fuzzy.
Oh my goodness. This is who you expect to save me from murderous MURD.
Well, part of the programming I put into Drum was to enjoy nature more. Maybe I need to tone that back a little bit and tone up his protective nature.
How about we keep all of those levels the same? And on Drum, who's doing his job, he's producing the show, he's drumming for us. And then we tone down things on the MURD side.
Well, that would be boring. And Drum has potential, and what you're asking Drum to do is basically remain just a robot.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Have you watched Star Trek: The Next Generation at all?
Yes.
Did you like the show?
I did.
Did you glean moral cues from the show? Ever?
Well, there were several episodes with Q, and I seem to remember one with multiple Qs.
Okay, I didn't mean the demigod Q, the character. I meant Q as in Q-U-E, like the...
Wait, there was another character named Q? That's just confusing.
Did you ever glean any moral direction or information from Star Trek? Like no money. They had no money. They did everything out of love.
I mean, I have no money either, but I don't have a starship.
Well, they have love. Maybe you could have a starship too if you had a little more love.
I have love. I'm getting married. You're trying to kill me.
Data. I'm trying to get to the point, and I see that you know what I'm going to say, and so that makes me know that my point is really good. Okay. And that is data.
Data. Okay. All right.
Or data.
Noonien Soon. Was that his name?
Soon. What's his name?
I think I'm close.
Wait, what did you say?
Noonien Soon?
Noonien Soon? No.
Did I make that up?
No, it's very close. I think it rhymes with the actual name. Data's creator.
Yeah,
creator.
Okay, I pulled up Data's creator on Google. It says Gene Roddenberry. I'm talking in universe.
Noonien Soon. You were right.
Oh, I was close. Yeah. Very nice. Ah, yes. So Noonien Soon did not send Lore out to kill Data. Lore's just evil.
This is a fictional show.
So is this. You didn't hear me say that.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So this needs to. Okay, and we need to get on with the show, but I do need to bring up one other thing. So a piece from MURD's foot area came loose and dropped off. It's part of his armor. Yeah. And there's a label imprinted in there. And it says, if lost, return to, and it gave an address on a different world. And then it had the date of 1997. Didn't you create MURD like a couple months ago?
I mean, yeah.
Did you put that on there?
I mean, he could have been created from other parts of other machines, maybe.
Was he?
Kai, genius doesn't have to keep records of.
You don't remember how you made him?
I just remember that he is a murderous, rampaging Destructicon, and he's hell-bent on our death, especially yours. And Drum is supposed to stop him, hypothetically, if he can stop looking or nature watching. And his killing level was up pretty high, but maybe you should just watch yourself.
Okay, see, this is stuff like this that's making me nervous. Can you keep MURD away from us?
The question is, can you keep yourself away from MURD?
I'm doing my best.
Well, obviously, that's not good enough. Look, I'll get my...
Turn
I'll
down
get
his
my
burger.
minions.
Turn down your minions?
I'll get some duct tape and put the piece back on, and I'll try to keep them in the basement.
Okay, can you turn down the murder dial?
I just don't see how that's going to advance the plot, but we'll see. We'll see. Let me just leave it there.
Steven, man, I do not know what's going on with you. Ever since you came back from the bookstore.
But you love MURD.
No, that's not where I was going with that sentence. I was going with the sentence of, we have a show to do today, and we are going to be talking a little bit about speedrunning, and a little bit about eSports, and a little bit about Dreamhack, and not about loving MURD. That's specifically what I was going to say.
Well, it's a good thing he's not in here listening, because then that probably would, in and of itself, increase his desire to murder you.
Is he here listening?
I cannot neither confirm nor deny that he's not listening.
He gave us a 1-star review on iTunes, right?
Did he? Was that MURD? I didn't program. Maybe he's actually developing his own personality.
Oh, no.
Maybe we need to start working on him too.
No.
Maybe he's just supposed to be evil.
No, he's not.
I've got a hunch that Drum is supposed to be good, but
all right.
I don't know. Okay.
In other news. Goodness. We do want to thank everybody for joining us today, as awkward as this episode so far is. But
even that sentence was awkward.
I'm keeping with the theme, man. I'm just keeping with the theme.
Perfect.
Oh, goodness. We do appreciate you joining us each and every week. Very much do appreciate that. We are in the middle of a promotion over on our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/technofunkboy. That signing up for our $3 level or above, we are going to make a perler for you of a Dragon Warrior 1 slime of your favorite color, and get that over to you. And so please do check that out. As always, you can find the show notes for this episode over at technofunkboy.com/42. We are on episode 42.
42. What is that number significant? What does that signify?
It means that there were 41 episodes before this one.
I feel like the number 42 has some more significance than that.
Yeah, it's like on the,
I think it's the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
No. That doesn't make any sense. We would need a really giant computer working for a very long period of time to really flesh that one out.
Well, and then I think we'd actually need the question.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, so never. Yeah, that can't be it.
Right. No.
No meaning to it. Just the number 42.
42 was the synth setting that that you were using on the last song we recorded.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's great. So, oh goodness. So, in all seriousness, you were out for the last episode because you were traveling, and you were traveling a little bit in the real world, and happened to chance upon a certain event that I'd like you to tell us about. Where did you go, good sir? What sights did you see? What amazement did you behold?
Well, as I was deep among the realm of humans, I stumbled upon a city.
What? No,
I've already lost interest.
No narrator voice.
Yeah, no. Let's skip that.
No, I went to Dreamhack, and this is actually the third year that I've been able to make it over there. It's in Austin, Texas, and Dreamhack is a Swedish, I think, or some kind of European LAN party, and it's actually known for being the biggest LAN party in the world. So it's a lot of PC gamers there, and as our audience may or may not know, I do have a slight bent towards the PC. But so I went. So this was the third year it was actually in the United States. Prior to that, it was only in Europe. It's a lot of things. It is a LAN party, so there are hundreds of people who are there for the LAN. But then it's also become an eSports circuit, and so you'll have competitors playing different eSport games there, because some games. Like for instance, Counter-Strike Go, and I think most first-person shooters, playing over a LAN is actually, you can't play competitively over the internet the same way because there's no latency on a LAN.
Is Counter-Strike Go anything like Pokemon Go?
Yes, it's very, very similar,
Nice.
except the difference would be that instead of Pokemon and catching Pokemon, you have two teams. One is terrorists and one is counter-terrorists. And
you have that in Pokemon.
Yeah, but then you purchase weapons at the beginning of each round, and there's usually there's teams of 5 on either side, and they have to buy out weapons at the beginning of each round, including grenades.
Yeah, so you can't play this competitively on LAN.
No, you do play competitively on LAN. It's actually the little bit of lag that you have on the internet creates different strategies. Like for instance, if you're going to peek around a corner, there's a peek advantage. So the first person to look around the corner, if you're standing there looking at a corner waiting for somebody to peek around, if they peek around, they see you for a split second before you'll see them.
Yeah.
If you're playing over the internet, and that's enough time to get a shot off and kill that person who you peeked and saw. So on a LAN, because the latency is so much fast, there's not as much of a delay.
Right.
There is no peak advantage. That's just one aspect of it. So really, I think the big competitive matches are generally played over a LAN instead of over.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I got a chance to watch some pro Counter-Strike while I was there. It was really exciting, and watched quite a bit of StarCraft.
StarCraft.
My hero,
It always comes back to StarCraft.
Neeb, who is the North American hope, was actually beaten pretty soundly early on, and but I still watched, and it was amazing. It was disappointing to see him lose because I had seen him play at the previous 2 DreamHacks, and he won the last year. He won the entire DreamHack, and then the year before that he got to the finals. So this year he got knocked out pretty much right out the gate by an opponent who was very unconventional, doing a lot of unconventional stuff, and I think he actually made it pretty far. But anyway, so that was fun seeing some StarCraft, and then probably the coolest thing that I saw though in terms of is I know some of I'm sure the majority of our listeners are familiar with PUBG, Player Unknown Battleground.
Yeah,
it's a big popular game right now. This what is it called? What is that type of game? Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. Yes.
Yeah, like anyway, so PUBG I don't play PUBG. I play it on a mobile app, which is not considered cool or legitimate. I just play it on.
Don't worry. We've never been considered cool. So-
I know. That's actually what made me feel acceptable. I felt like I can play this on a mobile app, because we're a retro video game podcast. But the actual game was being played, and they spent a lot of money on the setup. It was a double-decker arena, and it was a live event, and they had 64 players like in this double-decker arena. It was impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Like, out of all the stuff that I've seen at the Dreamhacks over the last 3 years, this was the most construction, and it was a big set, and and in the middle, so there's these players who are kind of in the air. They're just this big arena wall, and then in the middle there's the screen, and by the end of it, there was several thousand people watching this.
Yeah,
and it was. I'm not a big PUBG. I don't even play the PC version, but it was impressive. I also saw some Magic the Gathering, and I saw some speedrunning. They had speedrunning.
And so that kind of brings up a point, because you sent me a couple of videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Mario 3 was one of them, and Zelda 2 was one of them, and that's all you sent me. And so I'm sitting here going, Steven's at a speedrunning thing. I have no idea what this stuff is, because I'm out of the loop. It's like we've converted Steven. He's like watching speedrunning live. And so that's why I was excited to talk about this thing. And then you come in with Counter-Strike and more StarCraft, as always. I'm a little disappointed. How much of the speedrunning did you actually see?
Well, I felt obligated to stand there for a few minutes because you would want me to. And I was kind of pretending like you were there. And I was kind of
like looking over your shoulder, making sure you stayed there and saw what was happening.
You were standing in front of me in my imagination. You were standing in front of me, and you were riveted. You had your hands in your pockets, but then you pulled them out occasionally and crossed them across your chest, and then you put them behind your head. When I got to a hard part, and then you'd look back at me to make sure I was watching, and I'd have to pretend like I was watching and excited. And so I kind of had this whole thing with you there, actually. In my imagination.
Was I?
You were really into it in my imagination.
Yeah, was I asking you questions like in
No.
I wasn't there, so I don't know, but I'm assuming they got the wall glitch in 7-1 from Mario 3 where they just like get clip into the wall.
Yeah, you were telling me all this kind of stuff, and I was like kind of pretending like I was listening.
And you were going,
Yeah, I was like, oh really? Wow. Aren't you? And then I kept saying like, aren't you glad you came? This was great, huh? I was trying to remind you that, like, hey, the reason you're here is because I told you this was going to be cool, even though I had no idea they were going to be doing speedrunning. And actually, they even had a couch. The whole speedrunning setup, I don't think I captured that in the video. The whole speedrunning setup included it had some chairs for the audience, which were full. There was a big attendance. There's a lot of people watching the speedrunning, and behind the chairs there was standing room where people were watching. But in front of the screen in front of the console, there was a couch, and the guy was sitting on the couch, and it was a gray couch. And I thought, man, Jim's friend would love this. They might have to, and then I thought you would like it too, Kai. So anyway, but then other stuff was going on, and I needed another drink, and I had to keep moving.
Oh goodness. Oh, okay. So I got to pull this up and see. I'm trying to find out who was there. Do you remember?
There was a guy named John Wayne. You said you didn't know him, and then I actually took 3. I did not. I didn't want
to call people out that I don't know.
Kai does not know who John Wayne is. Everybody.
I know the real John Wayne. I'm trying to look. Oh yeah, I do see. Okay. Wow. Okay, so they did a full 3-day marathon.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. I didn't know about this at all. I would have sat there all day. So okay, this is fantastic. They had some really great games here. So Mega Man, Shovel Knight, Mario World, Zelda 2, actually several Zelda games, Breath of the Wild, This is pretty good.
Dude, they had it's a 24-hour event. So it started on I believe June 1st and went through June 3rd, and it's 24 hours a day. Now, if you just had a day pass like me, you can only stay for I think 12 or 14 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually had a whole an event pass, the 24 hour, you could sit there and watch them. I really think we should go next year and do a whole like interview. I mean, because the speedrunning thing there was a lot of attention there, so I think it'll be back. It'll be back again next year, and it was just this. Okay, so the first year I went, it was massive, but the only place that it showed in the United States was in Austin. So people had come from all over the United States. In fact, I didn't know it at the time, but I saw the one of the founders of Blizzard there.
Oh wow!
I saw his face. He looked really familiar. Somebody was talking to him.
Did he look cold?
No, he looked excited. He looked like he was enjoying himself, but he was kind of standing in the background. He was watching StarCraft actually. And
once again, really, there was no reason to bring up StarCraft right there. Just none.
He was watching it. He was one of the founders of Blizzard, and it's like it's like his child. And in fact, I'm typing in StarCraft founders right now so I can look his name up. But so he's there, and there was a ton of people. Okay, so the next year I went, there was not as many people, but they also did DreamHack in like 4 or 5 places around the country. I think they did it in Atlanta, Austin, Denver. Maybe it was just 3. So the crowds were smaller at each event. This year, I think they went back to just maybe 2 places. I think it might have been in Atlanta, but it was big. It was really, really, really big. I mean, it was hard to walk. There were so many people. And the guy's name that I saw the first year was Michael Morhaime, and I think he is he is the president and co-founder of Blizzard Entertainment. I saw him standing there, dude, and he was wearing a StarCraft shirt.
Yeah,
and that was the first year. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. I didn't know. I mean, I knew he looked familiar, but the bottom line is DreamHack it's going to be here next year. I'm planning on going again. We should get a group together. We should do what's our the guy that we keep sending and giving him all this money to go interview people.
No.
I kind of thinking we need to
Rangel. No, we're gonna not send Rangel anywhere for a little while here.
Yeah, Rangel Robinson needs. Maybe he can stay back and feed MURD.
MURD needs food?
He needs rats.
Oh, gosh.
I programmed that into him, that he would get his energy source from the breaking down of carbon-based life forms. I don't know why. I just thought that would be clever. So, he converts the carbon into nanobots that are rechargeable in his accelerator things. Anyway, so yeah, it was cool. It was a cool weekend, and actually only spent 1 day there.
Yeah,
and I saw the bats fly out from underneath the bridge.
Oh,
in
cool!
Austin, yeah, and went to a cool pub. It's definitely something. And there's speedrunning, so I feel like we can talk about it legitimately. Like, hey, look,
yeah,
audience, it's not just modern gaming. It's actually there's some retro gaming happening there.
Well, yeah, and that's that's going to be ultimately our topic after the break. Is this was very well timed, because you actually had some thoughts coming back from DreamHack, and after our last just crazy amounts of special events and interviews that we've had, just reaction to some of those stuff that we've been talking about, but we've been so packed with stuff that we needed, like big things that we needed to accomplish, that we haven't been able to talk on the show. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, which is, basically, how much speedrunning and eSports differ. And so we're going to jump to a break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about that.
Great.
Hey, it's Kai here. We recently finished our latest EP, Quest of the Dragon Warrior. It's an electronic tribute to Dragon Warrior and the amazing music that game gave us. We're really excited about how this music came out, and we want you to have it for free. If you go to technofunkboy.com/Dragon Warrior and sign up for our weekly newsletter, you'll get the songs to download and keep for free forever. That's technofunkboy.com/Dragon Warrior, or check the show notes for a link. All right, we are back. So, kind of set up this topic. So you have the Dreamhack thing, and this is landing. It feels like it's been a very long time since we were in the middle of the Dragon Warrior series, but it really wasn't. And so one of the interviews that we did during Dragon Warrior was with Sparkover, and it turned out to be a fantastic episode. But what it turned out even more than being about Dragon Warrior Randomizer particularly, it was about the randomizer community, about speedrunning in general, and just how healthy and supportive this group of people are. And you're like, that's not at all the way it is with eSports. They're like spit on your keyboard and shove a shiv between your ribs, and that's just how you play. That's just like normal. And I was like, wow, that sounds terrible. I much prefer to be in the healthy competition of speedrunning. And you're like, no, I like blood, and that's why I like eSports. I'm pretty sure that's how that turned out. It's been a while since we had this conversation. I'm not sure if that's exactly the way that lined up.
I think it was close to that. I think it was, you got to think about it. What is competition? That's the real question, right? At the heart of this is there and if you can define it as competition is two opposing forces trying to gain dominance one over the other, then in speedrunning there isn't that aspect if it was as it was described with you and Sparkover, because it really was kind of about like waiting for the next person to take the lead and supporting them and helping them to get there. And so there's this whole open. I have to tell you though, because I'm not totally sold on if this is a bad thing. Because my initial reaction to listening to you and Sparkover, and I'll be honest, was, oh my goodness, this is exactly why I don't speedrun or play these games. So it's not that I think that speedrunning isn't competitive. I think that I think it's apples and oranges. It's basically initially I didn't think that way. I just thought it was maybe a lesser version, a lesser form of competition than what we would, or what I would consider traditional esports. Okay, but I think it's different. I think it's apples and oranges now, kind of.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Okay, and so this might actually not satisfy our listeners.
I thought we were gonna slug it out here.
Well, I know, but I'm not sure I want to slug it out because I'm in my old age. I'm softening.
You're softening.
I'm not looking for fights. I'm looking for truth.
Oh.
I'm a truth warrior.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I do think there's and I totally do agree with you that it is really apples and oranges, but I thought that the comparison between the two is really interesting and helpful, and I really do. I think that most of it is, most of the difference is just in the way we go about we go about both events, both competitions. Esports, like traditional sports, is you have your training, you have your practice, and then you have the event, right? And you go to a match, a game, and compete there, and that's where, that's for all of the glory, all of the accolades, right there. And and I don't know. I totally forgot where I was going with that. I know it's different. It's different. It's
you said
different.
accolades, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what that means.
So, speedrunning is set up differently. We do have events. We do have, Games Done Quick events. In fact, we're coming up on the summer Games Done Quick here very soon. And, the Awesome Games Done Quick is kind of the big event. Summer Games Done Quick is like the second biggest event in speedrunning. But, Games Done Quick and the other marathons are really, most of the time, kind of showing off what you can do. You're not going for a record. Sometimes there are races inside these marathons, but a lot of times it's demonstrations. The competition is not normally there. The competition is normally on a day-to-day basis. If you're going for a record, you're going for a record all the time. And, you look at a channel like Arcus, for example, and, he's hours upon hours a day just, chipping away at the same game, trying to get steadily better, but he's streaming that the whole time, and a world record might pop up at any moment. We're not waiting for that competition, but there are races and there are events like that, and they're happening pretty much all the time. They're not nearly as formal as in eSports. There's not like this official committee keeping track of all these things. It's a lot of times it's just different small organizations. It's like, hey, let's do a race, let's do a tournament, let's do whatever, and or it's just a group of people going, hey, what are we doing this weekend? And so the approach is very different. And so when we are talking about world records with speedruns, and that's kind of the high honor, it's not like in the Olympics where you're racing side by side with someone. You might be competing at the same time. Y'all are both trying to chip away at a world record, but you're doing that just you and the console and the PC or whatever it is all the time, just chipping away at it. And that's why a lot of us do describe speedrunning in general as not really a matter of us competing against other players. It's more like us competing against the game.
And I think that's a really important distinction, and I think it's the difference between it's kind of like a 5,000 piece puzzle on the table in a dining room, and everybody's there's one guy that's like furiously putting the pieces together, but then like other people may be doing helping him out or but everybody can see what he's doing, and it's happening constantly. Yeah. And there's really no there may be a culmination. He might like finally get the last I don't know, but it's more like about that one individual trying to complete the puzzle, and that's the entertainment right there. Versus exactly. Versus watching two people play chess. And honestly, I mean, it's a different kind of entertainment.
Exactly.
I mean, one is solving a puzzle, which is what speedrunning is, and one is beating your opponent. When you beat a puzzle, you're not beating a person, you're beating a situation. And so, right. and I feel like that's the big fundamental difference. And so, I've seen very good sportsmanship in the esports community. I mean, aside maybe from Counter-Strike, which is very salty, but even at the higher, at these pro levels at Dreamhack, I didn't see any people were very kind to each other and seemed very honorable. But like in StarCraft, which is what I'm most familiar with, they don't play their strategies just publicly.
I mean, you couldn't go 10 minutes
without saying StarCraft. Because I mean, StarCraft is what I have. I mean, I'm not that good at StarCraft, but the bottom line is in StarCraft, these higher level players, they hide their strategies, so they'll work on a build order, which is the order in which they build the units and their attacking units and the timing attack or whatever they've put together. They've kept it secret. And because their opponents are watching their videos online, they can watch the replays.
Right.
And so it actually works to their disadvantage if you could see what your opponent knows. And so there's a lot of secrecy, and that's in exact contraposition to what's happening with speedrunning. In speedrunning, it's like everybody's building off of everybody else. And in StarCraft, eventually that happens. Like somebody will do, because eventually they're going to play the match and they're going to reveal their build. Well, then everybody knows it. And so it's really interesting dynamic. It's a lot different, but I think it kind of, getting back to what we were originally saying, it's kind of apples and oranges. It's a different style of play. And if you like puzzles and problem solving against a machine, which probably will come in more handy in a Terminator 2 style, apocalypse, I think speedrunners will actually have more benefit against Skynet than maybe StarCraft players would.
We'll turn to the speedrunners.
They know how to beat the machine. Unleash the speedrunners.
Right. Well, and I do think, I do think that I guess we should do the little disclaimer that, hopefully it should be obvious that we're talking in very, very broad generalities here. Certainly not all of speedrunning competition is healthy. But in general it is. But I think you're hitting on that element that has made it so. And that is that, with the speedrunners, all of their strategies are on display all the time. They develop it live on the air. And so Twitch in and of itself has kind of forced this style of competition on us, because we don't have, the big events that speedrunning has are for charity. That's not the opportunity to win prize money normally. And so, if you are making money at speedrunning, it's by streaming all the time, and so you develop your strategies there on the fly and you work it out there. And the people who run the same games are normally in your channel watching you, and then they start getting to talking to you. And you talk back, and y'all get to know each other and become friends. And so there's not any way anymore to hide things that used to be a part of speedrunning at the beginning. That videotapes would be sent in and not posted, so that other people couldn't see what your strategies were to get this great time. But Twitch really has changed that. And just by the fact that, well, the way we get exposure as speedrunners is by streaming us hammering away at these games over and over again.
Right.
And so it's really hard to be overly salty at people who are in your chat all the time, and you're in their chat, and, you're learning stuff from them and they're learning stuff from you. I mean, it happens, We're amazing. People are amazing at their capacity to get salty at just the weirdest stuff. But
right, well, right there is, and I think that's an important distinction, because there's just jerks no matter where you go in life.
For sure.
I mean, you're driving in your car to work or home from work, and there's a jerk on the road. This everybody's like being nice. There's bad traffic. Everybody's just going along, and then some dude's like shooting in front of everybody, like somehow he's gonna cut off like all this time, like cutting everybody off, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, this guy's a jerk. Like, first of all, he's not really gaining that much time. All he's doing is demonstrating the fact that he's really impatient and he's willing to risk everybody's life so that he can get somewhere 5 seconds sooner than everybody else. Mm-hmm. It borders on insanity, if not like just complete insanity. But those people play video games. Those people go to have jobs. Like, you're going to encounter salty people, and salty, I think, is the term, which is an interesting term, because I can be salty sometimes, but it's fun. It's fun to be. Are
you beeping?
Something's beeping. Yeah, I'm getting a message from the other world. So yeah, I mean, look, be salty, like poke fun during a match. Have some friendly rivalry, but don't take it too seriously. And if speedrunning has done anything, or is better in a sense in terms of community, it's partly because that's kind of what they're founded on. Is like just there's really no room to be salty in speedrunning. It's like the whole thing is building. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who do it, but the majority of it is built on each other, whereas in StarCraft, the strategies, and a lot of other competitive gaming, it's about besting your opponent. That's the focus, because that's the only way you can win. And, and so you got to beat him sometime.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think, I think, in general, whether it's in speedrunning, whether it's in eSports, whether it's casual playing, even online gaming, I think the communities have come a long way, in the last decades. Every time something comes up with the old high score, stuff, with Twin Galaxies and stuff, I'm just reminded about how much better all of our communities are than they once were. And playing the Realm this week, I'm reminded about, and I can't say this blanket across all the games, but just how much better we are, a lot of us online than we used to be. And there are still complete jerks online everywhere. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that as gamers, I feel like we're making progress. And if we're taking the wide view of things, I think we're making progress on this. And there's a long way still to go. But, we've kind of come to the point where our competitions, either in esports and speed gaming or whatever, can be healthy and good and fun for everyone.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And I think that, that's everybody's desire is or it should be. It's not everybody's desire, because there's going to be people who
everyone is very loose there.
Everyone, I mean, the people that I want to hang out with.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Generally, nobody likes, a jerk, but I think sometimes jerks forget that, and so I think
they forget that because they're jerks.
And one of the ways we help jerks in gaming, and maybe this can be the Aesop's fable aspect of this podcast, is we've talked about, nobody likes to play with somebody who is so salty or such a jerk that they're going to just ruin it for everybody. Or it's maybe being kind to those people. Like when somebody's being way too salty, and instead of firing back with their own vitriol, maybe private messaging them and saying like, hey man, can you lighten up a little bit? Like, I think everybody's just trying to have a good time, I mean, and that's hard to do because it's so easy to just throw a, you're a loser, or, just an insult. And I've done that, we've all done that. I mean, it's easy to be a jerk back to a jerk. It's what's hard is to be nice to a jerk. Honestly, that doesn't usually work. I've tried it.
Oh no, yeah, no, not at all.
But I think at that point, at least you say you've tried, because it might work. You don't know for sure. Sometimes it does, very rarely. But to give the person the benefit of the doubt, maybe try to steer them in the right direction, let them know that it's not okay what they're saying, and move on with the game. But it's weird that gaming has become, and will continue to become, such a major aspect of everybody's leisure time.
Yep.
You're going to have to, we've got to work on etiquette. We've got to work on how to deal with each other kindly. And there, I think that speedrunning has done a lot for just showing us this is how nice people play games. Yeah. But not everybody wants to speedrun. People want to play
no.
You want to kick the crud out of each other.
Yeah.
But how do you do that and get up and shake hands at the end of the game,
yeah, exactly.
Metaphorically speaking.
And I do want to say, I mean, we're billing this episode as speedrunning versus esports, and you didn't want to argue about it.
I know, I feel guilty.
I mean, one thing we need to remember is that what people find entertaining is what they find entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love speedrunning. I want to introduce people to speedrunning. If they look at speedrunning and say, that's not for me, I don't want to force it on anybody. If they prefer League of Legends, that's fine. If they prefer Fortnite, that's fine. If that's what they find entertaining, that's what they find entertaining. I don't think that like every single person should go follow the Techno Funk Boys Twitch channel. I mean, I do think that, but not really. I mean, I'm going to be on there playing games that not everyone finds entertaining. But some people do. And so, we have a lot of fun on the realm, but the realm is not for everyone. And so, if you don't find it entertaining, then I'm not going to try to force it on you. And if you like Fortnite better, then that's great. I'm probably not going to watch a ton of that either, but that's fine. And so, I definitely wanted to kind of constant reminder of that, especially on like social media. We get so high and mighty, and I use we as in like me too. We get so high and mighty sometimes with our entertainment, like we're something special because we watch this particular game, or we play this particular game, or we do this particular thing. And if I see, if I see one more meme of somebody saying, kids need to be, outdoors fishing instead of playing video games. It's like, well, you think that because you like fishing. I don't want to do, I don't want to do that. And so how is that helping me?
It's funny. I had a conversation just this last weekend with, somebody, and, it came up. I think I was provoking the discussion of that very thing you're saying. And I think that, with regard to leisure gaming versus other kinds of leisure,
Mm-hmm.
and this individual, a very good person, but was he likes to hunt, but he was saying that he can hunt too much, even like part of his reason for hunting is he likes to be away from everybody, be alone, and he did have nature on his side, like enjoying nature, which is kind of hard to like combat that when you're trying to compare gaming and hunting. But it was this whole idea of, leisure activities in general. And I think that's where my struggle is kind of, I like to game leisurely, but I always want to be competitive, and I have a job. I have other responsibilities. I can't become a competitive gamer like overnight.
Right.
And so I think that's a weird kind of ambiguous area for a lot of people, younger people especially, who might be into competition, is that it's so easy to be competitive with games because you don't need to buy the equipment. You don't need to go somewhere. Everything can be done online from the comfort of your room.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a competitive eSports player or speedrunner for that matter. But should you? And I think that's the big question that people should be asking themselves when they're gaming. When you're spending a lot of time in front of a computer or a console, you should be looking at balance in your life. But you should also, but look, if you're really good, maybe you should take it to the next step. You should look towards getting on a team or streaming or trying to make. But at the same time, it's a tricky question that hasn't really had to be answered yet.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's such a new genre and it's such a new thing. It's like you can become a professional esports athlete / speedrunner or whatever from your home. But should you?
So that was not at all the episode that I thought that was going to be.
Yeah, me neither.
So I blame you
for not fighting with you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Goodness. Okay. Well, maybe next time. Anyways, well,
we should choreograph our fights like wrestling matches, and maybe they'll be better for our listeners.
Okay, you listen here. Listen carefully. Next week, it's going down. A choreographed fight. Me versus you, and I promise you, there's only one person who's going to walk off that podcast under their own strength, and that's me.
You just keep thinking that, bucko, because you'll be surprised to find that you're not the only one with the big smack talk. I'm gonna take you and bend you like a Gumby doll from the 1980s.
Listen here, audience. That's it for today. But if you're not back here next week for the main event, then things are gonna happen to you and you're not gonna like them.
Yeah.
All right, we will catch y'all another time.
Okay.
The Retro Zoo Super Show is brought to you by the Techno Funk Boy. Follow us on Twitter at Techno Funk Boy, on Facebook at the Techno Funk Boy, and sign up for our email list at technofunkboy.com. Also look for us on Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon for music. If you are so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast catcher. If you are not so inclined, you are obviously some sort of villain trying to conquer the world. Unowned music and gameplay clips are used for educational and critical purposes. Thank you for listening, keep gaming, and once you have responsibilities that need to be done at this time, then you can game later.